The average person is going to spend upwards of 90,000 hours of their life at work. And when you think about how much time we spend in our work environments, all the more reason for us to feel safe there. All the more reason for us to be thoughtful over ensuring that respect is a foundational element for each and every one of us to be able to rely on when we come to offer our skills, our services, our ideas, and our connection to one another. Greetings, and welcome to Respect for All in the Workplace, a podcast brought to you by Tri-County Schools Insurance Group and Anthem Employee Assistance Program. My name is Ra Kalan, they, she pronouns, and I'm an emotional intelligence consultant, an emotional health coach, and I hold a master's degree in clinical counseling. And what I want to talk to you about today is really what helps to create an inclusive work environment that allows you to show up as you. The reason why this conversation needs to be had time and time again is because we have what's known as unconscious bias. And maybe you've even heard a little bit about that in the previous podcast that TCSIG offered you. And becoming aware of how your selective attention can leave out amazing individuals and other amazing staff and their ideas that could really cultivate a psychologically safe environment that everyone is proud to be a part of. But when we leave people out, intentionally or unintentionally, we set ourselves back as an organization. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about what really makes you feel included in the workplace. What makes you feel seen? And to help you, I have a couple of questions, and I want you to really process with me what your answers are. First and foremost, when you are invited to participate in meetings, when people specifically go out of their way to ensure that you have a place at the table, how does that make you feel? Good? Included? Content? How about valuable? Because only you could answer the questions the way that your team is looking to have the questions answered. Only you and your insight is being welcomed in the way that you and your insight are being welcomed in. And no one else could take your place, the same way that you couldn't take someone else's place. I got another question for you. When coworkers involve you in activities, when they go out of their way to make sure that you get to participate, go out to lunch, or chime in about this topic or subject matter that affects you, how does that influence you? Sit with it. You might recognize a little bit of frustration because sometimes you don't want to always be invited into the activities. But on the other side of it, can't you acknowledge that people wanting you around does invite a certain level of inclusivity that makes you want to show up for your team? You might not want to be a part of all the activities, but it makes a huge difference to know that you are welcome. And this is what creating respect as a foundational value in a workplace is all about. It's about intentionally feeling like you are accepted, not tolerated. And this is why diversity and inclusion are both important. When we talk about diversity, we're talking about the presence of underrepresented groups, untapped minds of resilience and creativity that we want to have the proper representation for so that more people recognize that their life experiences are valid and their life experiences are shared. And then when we look at inclusivity, we're talking about the integration of people, the integration and the melting pot of these ideas and providing a safe work environment for everyone. Oftentimes, when we talk about respect in the workplace, we need to highlight those groups, those minorities that often feel targeted. Those groups might be people of color, the BIPOC population, or those groups might also be people who identify as a part of the LGBTQIA+ community. And regardless of what minority or subgroup they are a part of, We want to ensure you know the proper protocol, the do's and don'ts for showing up as an ally to these individuals. So a couple of recommendations. We want you to understand that no matter an individual's background, you want to treat them with respect and you want to educate yourself on what their experience might be like without asking them to have to educate you themselves. The reason for this is because for many individuals in underrepresented populations, they are represented by stereotypes, and it demonstrates true allyship for you to do the research to find out more about the lived experience they have without depleting their valued life resources by asking them to share directly with you. Of course, you would love to hear directly from your peer, your staff mate. However, if they don't have the capacity to offer the insight, we have a world full of knowledge and insight at our fingertips that we can still utilize to educate ourselves. When it comes to people of color, not expecting for them to always have the answer or to be the poster child for other behavior that happens from ethnicities and races that they are a part of. You want to always give individuals an opportunity to introduce themselves to you for who they are, instead of trying to make those assumptions, also utilizing our selective attention to make assumptions and stereotypes about them. So when it comes to being a leader amongst a diverse population of people, you want to truly emphasize creating psychological safety as a non-negotiable in your space. That means creating spaces, meetings, discussions where it is okay to not know the answer to everything and instead to be willing to ask. It's okay to challenge each other in respectful ways, always with the mentality of how can we grow this bigger? How can we make this more equitable? How can we make this a better opportunity for the greatest good? It also looks like allowing for underrepresented groups to have a seat at the table, and making sure that if you don't take a specific suggestion that is offered, you still demonstrate how you see the contribution of that suggestion to the overall ideas being shared. We all need to learn how to work cohesively together, but that requires for us to make room for one another. And in order to make room, we have to take our blinders off. We have to release the unconscious biases we have. We have to step away from the prejudice. We have to step away from the structured racism and really start to embody what inclusivity can do for us as individuals as well as an organization. So this is why it has been the utmost pleasure to present to you about respect for all in the workplace, because you, as an individual who spends so much of your valuable time at work, deserves to be respected, deserves to have peers, deserves to have staff around you that feel supported because of the respect that is a foundation for all of you. And as we start to work on ourselves, we can only positively affect change within our work environment. Thank you for listening to Respect for All in the Workplace, a podcast brought to you by Tri-County Schools Insurance Group, as well as by your Anthem Employee Assistance Program. You always, and I repeat always, have access to your EAP and are invited to reach out at 800-999-7222 or give the website a visit at www.anthemeap.com/TCSIG. My name is Ra Kalan, and it has been a pleasure to remind you of how to honor respect in your workplace.